NBS Live at 9.
Since 2011, Erias Lukwago has been Lord Mayor for Kampala. After tomorrow, will he still be Lord Mayor? That decision rests on you, the voters. My assignment is to read stories, which I will do right after these headlines. Uganda Prison Service backtracks, makes a U-turn on Dr. Besigye's health, sparking concerns.
Our argument is not that we would want to proceed with an ill person.
Is Uganda Prison Service being conservative with the truth? From presidential to local government elections.
It will be delivered to the over 50,000 polling stations across the country.
Electoral Commission commits to doing better. We tell you why local government elections are important. The Kampala showdown. But which issues will swing the Kampala's vote? Waste management or leadership?
That case, when you have agents who are well trained, they write a report.
Jeramuntu decries lack of funding for monitoring elections.
We don't have that, unfortunately. So when we talk about building capabilities,
Are funds the reason for his party's performance? Uganda People's Congress internal contradictions exposed as 2006 elections reshape Lango's politics.
Lao would not have a sense of direction to listen to Akena.
Is UPC's stronghold in the region slipping away? Parliament pays tribute to the late Ngora MP. Legislators hail Apollo Isodo for championing unity and agriculture.
As a committed opposition leader, agriculturalist,
Can Parliament uphold Isodo's values?
it is the memories we create that define our legacy.
This is NBS Live at 9 with Victoria Sibia, Samson Kasumba, and Kanari Mugume.
Time for myself and my colleagues to tell you the news, and on that assignment I am ready. Now, as you voters prepare to participate in the local government elections, it is the Electoral Commission, the organizer, assuring the public of a timely and orderly voting process. It is the same Electoral Commission spokesperson, Julius Muchunguzi, warning that low turnout and misuse of social media could undermine local government elections, yet they remain critical to democracy. I mean local government elections here.
Ugandans are heading to the polls tomorrow for crucial local government elections that are seen as a key test for the country's decentralization efforts and service delivery at the grassroots level. With a lot of stake, especially following challenges registered during the presidential and parliamentary elections, the Electoral Commission spokesperson Julius Muchunguzi says the Commission has put in place measures to avoid a repeat of the logistical failures. During the last polls, several areas reported delay in delivery of voting materials, late opening of polling stations, and failure of biometric voter verification kits, issues that disrupted voting and frustrated voters. This time, Muchunguzi says all voting materials will arrive on time and polling stations will open at exactly 7 a.m.
Logistics and all the requirements at the polling station have at the district level, and in the course of the morning tomorrow they will be delivered to the over 50,000 polling stations across the country.
Beyond logistics, the Electoral Commission is also concerned about low voter turnout, particularly during local government elections. Muchunguzi notes that many Ugandans tend to lose interest after voting for the president and members of parliament, assuming that the electoral process ends there. The call for higher voter participation comes against the backdrop of declining voter turnout. During the presidential election, voter turnout stood at 53%.
All elections are very important, they are very critical, because each level of leadership plays a critical role in ensuring that the services reach the people.
The Wakiso District Chairperson Matia Lwangawanika explains that local governments are responsible for delivering essential services at community level, services that many citizens mistakenly expect from members of parliament. According to him, district leaders directly addressed challenges faced by residents, including access to healthcare, better roads, and education services, among other services. He warns that when citizens choose not to vote for these leaders, they weaken their own ability to demand better services and accountability.
Markets, production, name it. At the end of the day, whatever is being required by the people is a mandate of local government.
However, the Commission cautions the public on the use of social media during the voting process. Muchunguzi warns against using digital platforms to spread misinformation, hate speech, or unverified election results. Actions, he says, could disrupt the electoral process and incite tension.
Ensure that you do not use digital platforms to spread fake news and disinformation. Electoral
Commission records show that a total of 521 candidates were nominated to contest for the election of district chairperson / city mayors in the 146 districts and cities of Uganda.
It is still the very same Electoral Commission, albeit in Mbarara, that has warned candidates as well as their agents against causing chaos or displaying tags bearing candidates' pictures at polling stations, describing such actions as unlawful campaigning. Mbarara City Returning Officer Violet Athura said materials are ready for distribution to the 305 polling stations and officials are fully deployed. She urged polling officials to be careful during tallying to avoid errors. Candidates have expressed optimism for free and fair as well as peaceful elections. Meanwhile, 6 administrative units in Ankole, including Mbarara and Isinjiro, will hold local council 5 elections after candidates were returned unopposed.
As the Electoral Commission in Mbarara City, we are very much prepared because the materials are already here and the supervisors are aware. So tomorrow morning, very early on the 22nd, we shall be distributing those materials to the different polling stations. We have 305 polling stations in Mbarara City, and the elections for tomorrow for mayor and the councillors will be taking place in all the 305 polling stations that make up Mbarara City.
As a candidate, of course, I have already prepared myself. I have organized my agents, coordinators, and everything now in place.
Let them not give agents the tags with their photos. That is a form of campaigning, and the law doesn't allow that. So we are calling upon candidates not to do that, and also to avoid bribing the voters. They were intercepting them and bribing them. It is against the law and it can be used against you. So please do not do it.
My agents are set. I have not put any picture on the agent's identification. Only that names are put there. And there is nothing much that I can do against what the Electoral Commission wants.
We shall leave Mbarara for a bit and come back to the Kampala metropolitan area in terms of security for the polls. Police is urging voters to maintain peace as the capital heads to the polls for Lord Mayor elections, assuring the public that Kampala is calm and secure. Spokesperson Rachel Kawala said security agencies are fully deployed to prevent disruptions, and she warned that anyone causing chaos will face the full wrath and long arm of the law. She called on political actors to act responsibly and discouraged violence while encouraging business owners to reopen safely. Several individuals who disrupted last week's elections were arrested and have appeared in court. Police commended the public's cooperation and reaffirmed its commitment to a peaceful, law-abiding electoral process.
Our operations jointly with other security forces are still ongoing. Our officers are still deployed, both uniformed and non-uniformed, and we are also still having our patrols on, both motorized and non-motorized. However, what we call for is for calm and peace. We appeal to the public, to the political actors, to be peaceful and to be calm, not to resort to violent means. We shall not tolerate any form of lawlessness. So we appeal to Ugandans to be peaceful, avoid instrument of violence, avoid hate speech, and all shall be well.
If somebody looking peace ever spoke about peace. With just hours before Kampala goes to the polls to elect a new Lord Mayor, the vote comes within lingering questions of the office's real authority. 16 years after the city transited to KCCA to improve and streamline services, overlapping power centers it is continue to blur the mayor's real mandate, raising doubts about how much influence the real winner and subsequent owner of and holder of the office can truly wield. Well, tomorrow is a D-Day, and it's about time we look at the untaken interest in the faces in the Kampala Lord Mayor race. And off to the screen we will go. Now, Arias Lukwago of the PFF, a brand new political party, has been here since 2011. It's good to be remembered. He's still very much in the race. So is Beatrice Mao. She is from the Democratic Party, one of the female candidates in the race. Will it be her? We don't know. You voters decide. Engineer Ronald Nsubuga Barimwezo from the National Unity Platform has been a member of parliament. He has decided he wants to go big and become the next mayor of Kampala. Will it be him? We don't know. You decide. Then Ibrahim Kasozi, Forum for Democratic Change, also has been member of parliament before, and he is going very big going into this particular race. We're not done yet. Kizito Moses Nsubuga of the NRM. Will the NRM conquer this one? We don't know. The voters will definitely decide that tomorrow. Then there is another big one in this race. She's been around for some time. Nabila Nagai Sempala is an independent candidate. She has been Kampala woman member of parliament, meaning she knows how to win races of vast areas. Will she win this race? We don't know. It is all down to the voters to be deciding that particular race, if you may. What are the issues facing Kampala that might just well decide who becomes the eventual winner besides the candidates' profile themselves? One is security and crime prevention. That will become a big issue. Job creation and economic opportunities, whether they are some or not. Border motorcycle taxi regulation. Many argue that border in Kampala have become a nuisance, or is it a necessary evil? Environmental concerns and green spaces. Kampala's air is just not one of the best in the world. And then leadership and as well accountability might also be who of those will handle that quite well. Solid waste management, you remember the Kitezi fiasco, and then service delivery, infrastructure development, especially markets, then city roads. Many are being fixed, but then there's traffic congestion and road management. Then some even ask, who of those will be able to manage to get us to drive properly, not through the red lights? I don't know. But traffic congestion and road management will continue to be an issue there. In terms of governance, Dr. Arthur Binomgisha to walk us through this one. Doc, one of the issues here I'd like to ask you, voters tend to shy away from local government elections after the presidential and parliamentary elections are done. I mean, shine a spotlight on how important these elections happen to be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kasumba, for having me. Local government elections are very important for this country and indeed for all democracies in the world, because in this country, over 80% of our population live in local governments, and one of the most important decisions in terms of democratization that this country chose was to decentralize power, decentralize decision-making, and bring decision-making closer to the people, but also through fiscal decentralization, take resources near the people so that people can participate in decision-making about the issues that affect them, especially service delivery. And here, service delivery, we're talking about clean water, education, health, roads for our people, environmental management. So local government elections are very crucial for this country, because we are going to now this is an opportunity for the people at the local level to choose their elected leaders and hold them to account, and also be able to attract effective service delivery, because now government has decentralized it, has sent money, has sent resources, and now people through local elections make decisions, very important decisions about issues that concern them. So I would urge Ugandans that yes, we finished the presidential elections, the parliamentary elections, but now the mayor's elections, the local council's elections are very critical for now consolidating our democracy at the local level. So I'd urge voters that actually now this is very, very, very decisive in consolidating your democracy, because this is where you matter, this is where you make decisions that affect your lives directly.
Kampala is the capital, and it's sort of in a precarious situation. We are neither here nor there. The Mayor Lukwago, who is in charge, seems to argue that that position is to try and overthrow President Yoweri Museveni. And yet Kampala expects service. Now, we don't know if Kampala is not functioning, whether to hold the ED account or to hold the mayor accountable. So voters in Kampala are looking for somebody who will make Kampala work. Is that even possible, to find somebody who will make Kampala work? Or should we just expect that from the ED?
Kampala is the only capital city for Uganda. It's very, very critical. And the Kampala area actually constitutes about 67% of our GDP, the gross domestic product. This is where the wealth of our country is. That's where a lot of our people live. And yet Kampala also is not very planned city. About 40% of Kampala is planned, 60% not planned. So the governance, effective governance of Kampala is very important. And of course, decentralization basically is democratic decentralization means to give an opportunity for people to decide their own destiny. In Kampala, we have, of course, the political arm, we have the technical arm, and I think both of them need to work together. There is a need for us to exercise political maturity and allow both the political to exercise oversight over the technical people. So choosing a mayor, a road mayor that is going to work in harmony with the technical team is going to be very, very critical for efficient service delivery in Kampala, but also to be able to implement projects that modernize Kampala. For example, you see a lot of infrastructure development going on. We still have a lot of traffic jam. We have all the border problem, as you pointed out, but also to create a conducive environment for people to make money, for the traders to prosper. So it's good governance and teamwork are going to be important for Kampala's development. So my expectation is that the people of Kampala will elect a mayor that is able to play team politics, because beyond our partisan politics, once you've been elected as a road mayor, once you are an executive director of Kampala and other technical people, the issue is service delivery. The issue is to run an efficient and a clean city, enviable in the region, to attract foreign direct investment and that kind of thing. So people should be able to elect a person who are able to go beyond the party lines, to go beyond politicking and focus on the needs of the people. And the needs of the people are service delivery, clean water, health services, the roads infrastructure, deal with the issue of the jam that actually consumes a lot of our money, because we burn a lot of fuel in the traffic jam. So we want an effective governance of Kampala. Yes, we have a multi-party system, and that is very good for us, and that's why people should compete. The best should emerge, but once you have emerged, please, we expect the teams, political and technical, to work together for efficient service delivery and the transformation of Kampala as a capital city of this country.
Dr. Arthur Binomgisha, thank you very much for your thoughts. It's got to be that choice between somebody who knows how to get Kampala to work and maybe one who believes Kampala can never work. But well, let's get to Uganda Prison Service that has failed to produce opposition veteran politician, retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Kifefe Besigye, and his co-accused Alhaj Obed Lutale Kamilagea in a court, stating before the register of the High Court Criminal Division that Besigye is unwell. The letter comes just hours after the prison's spokesperson, Frank Baine, denied reports that Dr. Besigye was ill, stating that he was in a proper health condition. The statement to court today, however, confirmed that Dr. Besigye was not in proper health condition.
He's not sick. He went for a general checkup and he did the checkup. And then after that, he went. Even today, the report I have is not sick.
You, Frank Baine, spokesperson of Uganda prisons, shame on you for lying that Dr. Kiza Besigye is not ill.
Day after Uganda prison spokesperson confirmed that the incarcerated opposition leader, Dr. Kiza Besigye, was in proper health, disputing Dr. Kiza Besigye's wife's account of being ill that she backed by evidence of a photo taken when Dr. Kiza Besigye was in the hospital being administered with drips. The prison has finally conceded that Dr. Kiza Besigye is sick, the reason they have failed to produce him in the courts of law in person. The revelation was made by the judge after the state questioned why the dock was empty without the accused persons.
One of the accused persons, that is A1, has a health concerns. Both parties have submitted on that.
The lawyers to Dr. Kiza Besigye questioned what exactly was the challenge and why the prisons had not revealed the truth. In the letter, the Uganda prisons asked the courts to allow Dr. Kiza Besigye to appear via Zoom. This was objected by the defense lawyers, questioning whether Besigye is in proper faculty with ability to understand the court proceedings. While Besigye's lawyer, Lukwago, vehemently rejected the Zoom request, the state insisted they needed proof of Besigye's health status, whether he was ill.
First of all, our argument is not that we would want to proceed with an ill person, but we want to probably look at him and confirm.
My Lord, I pray that we take matters of life serious.
Lawyers to Dr. Kiza Besigye told court that Uganda prisons officers had already denied them access to the prisoner on account of him being unwell, wondering how they were ready to avail him on Zoom but not to his lawyers. They asked the judge to grant Besigye orders to seek specialized medical care, a prayer rejected. The judge also declined Dr. Kizza Besigye's appearance on Zoom.
What shocked us is the prayer they made that the proceedings be conducted virtually. And they never explained as exactly what was going to be done about doctors' failing health. That was rather disturbing to us. Concerned about the deteriorating health of Dr. Kizza Besigye because our prayer has not been granted by the judge.
The matter has now been adjourned to 24th February 2026.
Well, it turned into a dock without a dock. Long regarded as the ideological home for the Uganda People's Congress, the Lango sub-region is showing clear signs of political realignment following the 2026 presidential and parliamentary elections. The polls exposed deep internal contradictions within the UPC as senior party figures and officials delivered mixed messages and, in some cases, openly backed President Yoweri Museveni despite calls by party President Jimmy Akena to reject the national resistance movement.
For decades, the political identity of Lango sub-region was inseparable from the Uganda People's Congress and the legacy of its founding father, Dr. Apollo Milton Obote. Voting Uganda People's Congress UPC was less about campaigns and more about history, memory, and regional pride. However, the just concluded parliamentary and presidential elections have exposed how far that legacy has weakened and how contradictions within the party have accelerated its decline. Former Oyam South Member of Parliament Isha Oto Amiza argues that the UPC's biggest failure was not just its electoral process, but also the absence of a clear and unified message.
That contradiction meant that now would not have a sense of direction to listen to Akena. No wonder, because of other influences and also because of unregulated messages, the people were shied away towards Museveni.
While UPC's Jimmy Akena publicly and repeatedly argued Lango voters not to back President Yoweri Museveni, several senior UPC figures on the ground openly campaigned for Museveni. According to Isha Oto, prominent UPC members of parliament, including Minister Betty Amongi, Santa Alum, Maxwell Okora, and others, were simultaneously mobilizing voters to support Museveni. At the regional level, UPC auxiliary leaders and coordinators were reportedly embedded in Museveni's campaign task force in Lango.
While Akena was saying, don't vote Museveni, his members of parliament who had constituencies, who had support, were campaigning to say, vote Museveni.
President Museveni has contributed development in various forms.
The contradiction, he urges, fatally undermined Akena's authority and confused voters about the political direction UPC stood for. The former legislator says Obote's legacy still carries moral and historical weight in Lango, but only when respected consistently. He describes Obote's record as one of greatness, servant leadership and national service, a legacy that placed Lango firmly on Uganda's political map.
Northern Uganda is dead politically, in Ugandan political context. They cannot have any voice now. They are just waiting for anything that is being directed or told to them.
As a member of UPC, I want to state it very clearly that there are very many other members who are in support of this cause.
Former party loyalists say the defeat of Betty Amongi in Lira City, ending a 25-year political reign, did not weaken NRM, but instead consolidated it. Lira City, once a UPC stronghold held by Jimmy Akena and later UPC allies, has now fully swung to NRM control with a single UPC legislator representing a division.
Traditionally, Lango was supposed to ride on the legacy of the founding fathers. Father, Dr. Apollo Milton Obote.
So, which other voice are you going to get in Parliament? Now, the worry is that Lao voice is expressed through UPC for a long time, but that Lao voice is now crushed.
While party loyalists like Ogwang argue that the party has relied heavily on Obote's legacy and family leadership without renewing its organizational and ideological foundations, Gender Minister Betty Amongi says the party can still regain its strongholds in the region.
And we shall not disappear from the politics of this country because of the targeted, orchestrated, planned intention of obliterating us and members of UPC.
These argue that UPC failed to front a presidential candidate in this election cycle, leaving the party directionless at the national level. As a result, many UPC aspirants pragmatically backed Museveni, calculating that alignment with power mattered more than the party loyalty.
Let's just recap on the top stories. The Uganda Prison Service does make a dramatic U-turn on the health of retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, sparking concern there. Electoral Commission is committing to doing better in tomorrow's local government elections. The jury is definitely out there. Then that last story there, Uganda People's Congress's internal contradictions at ease, exposed by the shape and form of the 2026 presidential election, and maybe that is reshaping Lango's politics, albeit with the denial of some within that political party. And I just want to ask one question. Do you know what is coming right after the break? I'll tell you what.
More to come. Brought to you by...
Everyone knows we use Global Paint Undercoat. Now, for the best results, I continue with Global Paint's products.
Global Paint, a reliable...
Well, after every election cycle, there are petitions. So, to petitions we will go. In that regard, the elections have not flirted with deception. So we will find out who is petitioning, where are they petitioning, and that will be something to find out on when we come back right after the break.
To be an engineer. I want to be a chef. I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a musician. I want to be a basketballer.
Twinbrook International School is a school where you will see people from around the world. It's diverse. You will have the opportunity to experience things you've never experienced before. We have highly skilled teachers and a comfortable environment that does not pressure but eases the minds of students to help them into their future careers. Our school integrates art, culture, history, language, and performing arts such as drama, music, and dance into the academic curriculum. Work smart, succeed. Twinbrook International School.
Buy genuine Decra roofing tiles, the original stone-coated alu zinc steel roofing system from New Zealand. Choose from Heritage, Milano, Shingo, Shake, and Classic profiles with a variety of colors and a 50-year warranty. Only available at Depot Uganda. Telephone 0776 898 888 or 0758 853 285. Depot Uganda. Tried, tested, and trusted.
You used to tell me that I don't make you happy. All that time you would be complaining. I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubi Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21 hash and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
In the heart heart of Uganda lies a place where dreams become a reality. Welcome to Zion Estates, your gateway to prime land with titles across Uganda, with estates in Mukono, Bombo, Kaga, Matuga, and many more other estates. With over 15 years of experience, you're guaranteed the best, and you can start paying in installments. All our estates are well planned. Start your journey to land ownership today. Zion Estates, your home, your prestige.
You will always know when you're in the presence of the finest. It's like time slows down, just enough for you to feel everything in full flavor.
Just Malt Lager. Alcohol is not for certain persons under 18. Please drink responsibly.
Starting with 100,000 shillings, you begin building real financial strength, because wealth doesn't just happen, you build it. And the ones who start early end up ahead. Every deposit, every month, every little increase. This is how your money grows into wealth. Put your money to work with the experts at SBG Securities. Partner with us today on your investment journey.
SBG Securities. Keep growing for you, for them, forever.
Are you planning an event or wedding? Join us at Nikan Resort Hotel, Uganda. Relaxing accommodation rooms, well-equipped conference halls and boardrooms. Don't miss this fantastic opportunity to experience the best of hospitality and sufficient space. We're located in Seguku Katale, along Entebbe Kampala Road, channeling easy access to Kampala City and the airport. For reservations and inquiries, contact using the information on your screen or visit our website www.nikanresort.com.
Be classic by turning every wash into freshness with Classic Detergent Powder, the high-performance washing solution for all your laundry needs. Toughest on stains, gentle on your hands, and keeps your clothes looking fresh and bright. Enjoy the long-lasting freshness of lavender and lily fragrances. Classic Detergent Powder is affordably priced, giving you unbeatable quality at a price you will love. Customer formulungi, gwera mu class ng'okozesa sabuni waffe owobuwunga Classic. Genda kuduka lyonneri kulyo kompi oba supermarket osabe Classic Detergent Powder. Classic Detergent Powder. Experience a burst of freshness. Distributed by Chopper General Enterprises, located at shop number 3, Rafik Building, Chikovo, Kampala.
Welcome back. This is NBS Live at 9. Several unsuccessful candidates from last week's parliamentary elections have vowed to petition the Electoral Commission and courts of law to challenge results in their respective constituencies. Many have already rejected the declared outcomes, citing alleged irregularities, and say they are awaiting gazettement. However, senior lawyers have cautioned that only petitions supported by solid evidence are likely to succeed.
In Jonam County Parliamentary Race, Berokane Pefani, Mawugola North is Jet to Mwebaze, and Ayivu Division incumbent legislator Bernard Atiku are among the several candidates who have rejected results declared in the recently concluded elections.
Because I have strong reasons to believe that there were malpractices in Pukwero, there were malpractices in Alui, there were malpractices in Paroketo Parish, which all affected the outcome of the election.
From head to bottom, they ticked everything. In fact, they ticked with so much impunity to the extent that they exceeded, most polling stations, they exceeded the registered voters.
What transpired here during the tallying and the declaration was not free and fair.
The candidates have threatened to file petitions in their respective jurisdictions, citing alleged arrests, intimidation, and harassment of polling agents by security agencies.
Going to the polling station, I was in the company of the party chairman, Mr. Osinda Onentan Ronald, who was actually blocked by security from accessing the tally center.
So you have many polling stations with 100% turn up. Even the dead voted. The soldiers resurrected them and voted for them.
They argue that These actions affected the credibility of the vote and the final results in their constituencies.
We are filing a petition, certainly. If you don't challenge this impunity, you have given it a seat.
However, legal experts have cautioned the intending petitioners to gather strong and compelling evidence to demonstrate that the alleged irregularities substantially affected the final results and justify nullification.
The person who has declared the winner has 10,000 votes. I'm having 400. Would that torture and bribery affect this margin in a substantial manner? So once you fail to prove that substantiality test, most of our petitions will be thrown out.
The person that won, it can be proven by the challenger that they did not have the requisite academic qualifications. It can be a good ground for challenge.
But soldiers came, they would come, take over a polling station, get the polling materials from the polling officials.
Despite having evidence and documentation ready, petitioners must wait for the gazettement of declared candidates as required by law.
Because before gazettement, you cannot challenge someone's declaration as a member of parliament.
The judiciary says it is prepared to handle the expected surge in election petitions following the polls.
The judiciary has embarked on a robust training program, re-equipping and retooling judicial officers.
Meanwhile, lawyers have warned that unsuccessful petitions often leave candidates burdened with heavy court costs, with some facing imprisonment for failure to pay.
The Masaka Chief Magistrates Court has ordered a recount of votes in the Kalungu West parliamentary race set for this Friday at the Kalungu Chief Magistrates Court. The ruling follows a petition by independent candidate Ismail Semakula challenging the narrow victory of NUP's Joseph Gonzaga Sewungo.
Supporters of parliamentary candidates Ismail Semakula and Joseph Gonzaga Sewungo packed Masaka Chief Magistrates Court for a ruling on a petition seeking a recount of votes from last Thursday's Kalungu West election. Lawyers for Sewungo, the respondent, raised a parliamentary objection challenging the jurisdiction of the Masaka court. They argue that Kalungu has a court of equal jurisdiction and asked for a petition to be dismissed on grounds of improper filing.
The territorial jurisdiction of handling a recount is not which arises from Kalungu district is not vested in the Masaka.
In response, lawyers for the petitioner opposed the objection, arguing that although the Kalungu Chief Magistrates Court, it was not operational at the time and had not handled any cases.
For a court that does not in reality exist takes away the jurisdiction of the original court.
Presiding over the matter, Chief Magistrate Herbert Asimwe ruled that since he oversees both Masaka and Kalungu courts, the petition was properly filed and ordered the hearing to proceed.
I therefore find that this court has jurisdiction, and in the interest of bringing justice closer to the people of Kalungu, this court will conduct an application. This court will conduct an application, will hear the application, and if the application is granted, a recount will be conducted in Kalungu in a nearby court.
During the hearing, the applicant's lawyers asked the court to compel the Electoral Commission to conduct a recount, arguing that the Commission had earlier rejected their request despite evidence of illegal ballots placed in boxes.
That's why this court has a duty, if it permits a recount to be conducted, to verify each and every ballot in the box.
However, Sewungo's lawyers objected, maintaining that the returning officer acted lawfully and that the petitioner had filed to substantiate the allegations.
The applicant has not shown to this court the poll results he obtained, which was allegedly different from the actual votes counted and tallied.
In his ruling, the Chief Magistrate allowed the application, ordering a recount, citing the narrow margin of victory and unresolved concerns raised by the petitioner.
I find that the circumstances surrounding this case makes it favorable for a vote recount.
Sewungo was declared winner with 10,106 votes against Semakula's 10,060, a margin of just 46 votes.
Parliament has eulogized the late Ngora District Woman Member of Parliament, Stella Apollo Isodo, highlighting her contributions as a promoter of unity and and eulogizing her as an accomplished agriculturalist who advocated for a number of agricultural policies in Parliament. The leader of opposition in Parliament, Joel Senyonyi, who seconded the motion, described the late as a champion of free and fair elections, desired a country that respected the rule of law and human rights.
The casket containing the body of the late Stella Apollo Isodo arrived at Parliament at 10 a.m. and laid instead before proceeding to the parliamentary chambers for legislators to pay tribute to their fallen colleague. The parliamentary session that was chaired by the Speaker Anita Mong saw the government, opposition political parties and the different parliamentary caucuses lay a wreath on the casket containing the remains of the late Stella Apollo Isodo.
Recognizing that Honorable Isodo was a trained and accomplished agriculturalist.
The motion to pay tribute was moved by the State Minister for Fisheries, Helen Adoa, who described the late as a promoter of unity and passionate about agriculture.
Further aware that Honorable Isodo was a leading promoter of unity as well as socio-economic transformation, especially for the Teso sub-region. She fostered unity and built consensus on important legislative priorities.
A member of the Committee on Agriculture, she consistently championed the issues of farmers, women and youth.
The leader of the opposition in Parliament, Joel Senyonyi, seconded the motion, saying the late Isodo was a gentle soul who desired a democratic country, rule of law and human rights.
Honorable Isodo was a gentle soul, but very firm on her stance about the kind of country she desired to see as a leader and as a citizen. She desired to see a truly democratic state, a Uganda where the rule of law is respected, where no one is above the law.
Senyonyi also used this opportunity to ask Parliament to demand both government and the Electoral Commission to provide accountability of the 2026 general elections held on the 15th of January, where a number of opposition supporters were arrested, voters intimidated and some lost their lives.
In honor of the Honorable Stella Isodo, this Parliament must demand accountability from government and the Electoral Commission regarding the just concluded electoral exercise which she participated in. Unfortunately, she is departed now. This Parliament passed billions of shillings for the election, but we have been served by a shambolic process that is not worth the money that the taxpayer spent on it.
The other legislators also paid tribute to their colleague, describing her as a reliable person, agriculturalist, and championed the formation of the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Cooperatives.
But when you have a conversation with Honorable Isodo, you really see an intelligent woman, somebody very humble and feared the Lord. And we will really miss her.
Because of her love for her people, she loved the women, she loved the youth, and the youth fought for her, supported her despite her gaps and challenges in resource.
Stella Apollo Isodo is the 7th legislator to pass on in this 11th Parliament.
Former NT presidential candidate General Mugisha Muntu has blamed his party's limited financial capacity for its inability to effectively monitor elections nationwide, which has now constrained their response to grievances they witnessed in the recent polls. He described last week's elections as choreographed and flawed, urging citizens to take more responsibility in the electoral process beyond mere voting, since outcomes directly impact their lives.
Uganda concluded its presidential elections last week, with National Resistance Movement's Yoweri Museveni re-elected for a 7th term. The process delivering his victory has drawn criticism from opposition members, including ANT's General Mugisha Muntu. Muntu said the outcome was unsurprising, noting that irregularities observed were consistent with past elections. He decried his party's limited capacity to gather sufficient evidence to legally challenge the results declared by the Electoral Commission.
In that case, when you have agents who are well trained, they write a report. Now, on the basis of that, then you create a body of credible evidence that enables you to proceed. Now, we don't have that, unfortunately. So when we talk about building capabilities, that's basically what we mean. We have to continue going down and keep.
He acknowledged that sustaining a credible presidential election petition requires substantial financial resources, which the party lacks. Instead, Muntu said they will use this moment to reflect and plan for the future. The party intends to continue engaging Ugandans, educating them on democratic values with a goal of reaching the entire country.
An opposition party, for example, which would have like out of 50,000+ polling stations, if they have, for example, reports from 45,000, there, once you are confident and you have that, it really gives a good way forward in terms of using that tool as a weapon for furtherance of the struggle in whatever direction you want to go, whether it is in courts, whether it's convince the public. You have to have that.
Muntu stressed that in a healthy democracy, citizens should actively support candidates they believe in rather than passively waiting for change from a few leaders.
And those who want change and want positive change, what are they doing about it? How active are they? Not physically, not only physical involvement, but in terms of resource mobilization, for example, funding parties.
He also called for an independent investigations into why nearly 10 million registered Ugandans did not vote.
If we had resources, what we'd do immediately would be conduct in-depth studies of what's going on in the minds of 10 million voters who didn't show up. Because without research, you are going to be speculating. Even without resources, we are going to try and reach out and find out, are there universities or are there NGOs that have got capabilities to do research, do deep analysis of what happened.
Muntu was one of the 8 presidential candidates, finishing 4th with 59,276 votes behind NRM's Yoram Museveni, who emerged winner, followed by NUP's Robert Chagulanyi and FDC's Nindala Mafabi.
And now let's take a look at the feedback on the opinion question. And tonight's the question is, as voters head to the polls tomorrow, what issues do you think will matter most in choosing their local government and council leaders? Hashtag NBS Live at 9. Let's take a look at that first comment right there coming in from the Rainmaker. Says voters are likely to focus on candidates' ability to deliver or lobby for basic services, manage development projects and ensure accountability. Social Spotlight, what are your leaders saying online? Let's take a look at that tweet coming in from the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Netamong. She says the House has also been officially informed of the demise of Honorable Namirembe Tamazire, a former leader who served her country in the legislature and the cabinet with utmost dedication for an extended period. We extend our sincere condolences to her family, relatives and friends, and we pray that the Lord grant her soul eternal rest. The UN boss says the UN Charter is the foundation of international relations, the bedrock of peace, sustainable development and human rights. When leaders run roughshod over international law, picking and choosing which rules to follow, they are undermining global order and setting a perilous precedent. When a handful of individuals can bend global narratives, sway elections or dictate the terms of public debate, we are facing inequality and the corruption of institutions and our shared values. The Charter is a compact which binds us all. All countries must adhere to it fully and faithfully. All right, NBS Live at 9 takes a break. When we return, we have more stories for you, including business and sport.
Ochikoze mwana. Shop is stocked, customers ready. Now it's time for takeoff. So offer them more. Become a Wendy agent today and offer mobile money top-ups, customer service support, utility payments, water, power, pay TV. You're now. Turn your shop into a Wendy agent hub and commissions on every tap and easy access to loans.
That's right. More foot traffic, more sales, more profit, paid instantly. Register free. Call 0800 217 200 or WhatsApp 0707 993 930.
Wendy Wonawoli.
New Tusker Premium Cider. Crisp, delicious apples crushed and blended to create a unique taste explosion.
Before the headlines, there's the quiet work of confidence. The faces you trust are styled by the hands we trust. Because beauty isn't just seen, it's felt. Alaya Hair and Beauty, the choice behind the spotlight. Redefining beauty, one face at a time.
You see, I've been a painter for almost 4 decades, and I have found Global Paints to be very reliable. First, everyone knows we use Global Paint undercoat. Now, for the best results, I continue with Global Paints products. I go for Silk Vinyl when it comes to the interior. Then Global Matte for the ceiling, and when it comes to weatherproof, I go for Global Weather Coat Emulsion. With that one, the house will never peel. Now, there you have a sparkling, magical looking house. And then the client is very happy. He recommends me to another person, who recommends me to another person, who recommended me to come and do the advert.
Global Paint, a reliable product.
Welcome home to entertainment. To Wi-Fi everywhere. To high-speed internet. To security. To first-class support. To convenience. Welcome home to MTN WakaNet, superior internet for every home. Visit www.mtn.co.ug/WakaNet. Welcome home. Together, we are unstoppable.
Movit Relaxer Cream, brought to you by Africa's leading hair and skin experts. I get to wear my hair like I live my life. Movit Relaxer features a moisture-locking ingredient that protects your strands for strength, length, and lasting health, however you wear it. Curly, bouncy, or straight. Movit brings a dazzling brilliance to black hair. Keep moving. Keep shining. Bring your hair gold to life and embrace the extraordinary version of you. Movit. All day confidence.
Today is a good day to draw up a new plan. So start something. Make your move and get in your groove. Do it for the gram. Do it for the culture. Be loud. Be extra. Be a thinker. A life eater. A Tusker light drinker. Start something. Turn on your lights. Tusker lights.
As a parent, choosing the right school for my children was very important to me. When I came to Greenhill International School, what stood out for me was the strong leadership, the clear vision, and the welcoming environment. I felt really confident that this was a place where children are cared for and supported.
Mala UniPride Bank. It is so easy. You just have to maintain a minimum monthly balance of 100K and we'll give you health insurance for free. The bigger the balance, the bigger the benefits. Visit a nearby branch or call 0800 333 999 to learn more.
Pride Bank. Your growth is our pride.
Welcome back. Let's move on to some more of our stories. President Yoweri Museveni has bid farewell to the outgoing ambassador of China to Uganda, Zhang Lizong, describing his tenure as impactful. President Yoweri Museveni was happy to note that Uganda's exports to China have increased to $138 million, welcoming the decision by the Chinese government to remove taxes on Ugandan exports, which he said will greatly support the country's trade and wealth creation efforts. On his part, Ambassador Lizong expressed gratitude to the president and the Ugandan government for the support and collaboration extended to him throughout his tenure. At the Chinese embassy in Kampala, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Vincent Bajire, praised the strengthened cooperation between the two countries. Bajire says Uganda remains committed to strengthening this cooperation in sectors like technology, health, education, among others. Ambassador Zhang Lizong highlighted the deepening of strategic mutual trust between China and Uganda during his tenure. He adds that China has become Uganda's second largest coffee export market in Asia. He also cited notable projects achieved in Uganda, including the Entebbe-Kampala Expressway, modernization and expansion of Entebbe International Airport, and extension of COVID-19 vaccines to Uganda.
From His Excellency the President, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, who attaches great importance to the long-standing and strategic partnership between Uganda and China and greatly appreciates your contribution to strengthening this valued relationship. Your Excellency, beyond the achievements that have been recorded during your tenure, you'll be remembered for your distinct working style and personal approach to diplomacy. I personally regarded you as a smooth operator in many ways. And in your engagements with the government institutions, the private sector, and local communities, you consistently demonstrated attentiveness and a deep respect for Uganda's people and institutions. You approached your work with clarity of purpose, patience in dialogue, and a genuine willingness to listen to others, which qualities build trust and made our work with you as a person and China in general very easy.
My farewell, I wish to share four heartfelt wishes. First, may the China-Uganda Comprehensive Strategic Cooperative Partnership grow even stronger with time, and may the brotherly bond between us grow ever deeper. May we always remain each other's most reliable partners. Second, may China and Uganda continue to stand firmly, shoulder to shoulder, on the international stage, steadfastly supporting each other, upholding the purposes and the principles of the UN Charter, and jointly safeguarding international fairness and justice.
Now, in other news, the Center for Constitutional Governance Executive Director Dr. Sarah Bureti will remain in prison after her bail hearing was adjourned to January 28. The prosecution argued that her proposed sureties are insufficient, while her lawyers criticized the delay, calling it unfair and an infringement on her right to a timely ruling.
A full courtroom turned up for the bail hearing of Sarah Bureti, the executive director of the Center for Constitutional Governance, as supporters hoped she would be released after 3 weeks on remand. Presiding over the matter, Buganda Road Court Grade 1 Magistrate Winnie Nancha Jatiko first allowed the prosecution to respond.
Undertakes to ensure the applicant will appear in court. And who furnishes security?
State prosecutors opposed Birete's release, arguing that the proposed sureties were not substantial. They further contended that her medical condition did not constitute sufficient grounds for bail, insisting the defense first prove that the Uganda Prison Services cannot provide the necessary medical care. In response, defense lawyer Jude Byamukama argued that denying bail will treat Bireta as guilty before trial, undermining a fundamental right to the presumption of innocence.
So we don't know whether we shall even have a criminal trial in this matter, but someone is on remand. This is not what the constitution of this country envisaged, and we therefore pray that this court be pleased to grant the accused bail.
The ruling in this application is deferred to the 28th of January 2026 at 9 a.m.
The matter was adjourned to January 28th. However, defense lawyers criticized the delay, calling it unreasonable.
The trial magistrate has again adjourned for a full week, apparently to write a bail ruling. The Chief Justice, the retired Chief Justice himself had made it clear that bail rulings should be delivered there and then, and maybe in worst case scenarios the next day.
Bireta was arrested on December 30th, 2025 and arraigned on January 2nd, 2026, facing charges of unlawful obtaining or disclosure of personal data contrary to the Data Protection and Privacy Act.
Losers in the just concluded parliamentary elections have blamed their poor performances on the internal bickering within their respective political parties. These urged top organs in political parties to resolve the bickering, or else they will escalate.
The just concluded parliamentary elections saw new entrants and return of old guards in the 12th parliament, regardless of accusations of voter stuffing. But majority of the legislators across all political parties have shifted blame to the endless fights within political parties as a major cause of some of their colleagues failing to come back in the 12th parliament.
The final campaign, we saw FDC splitting up. A year or two, we saw ANT and other political parties splitting up, and new parties actually, prominent members from the prominent political parties forming up their own parties. So I think those are some of the issues that brought failures and candidates losing their seats.
There's more opposition in opposition than the ruling government. So as opposition, we need to go back on the drawing board.
Many of those who lost chose to contest as independent candidates against the will of their respective political parties, while others still lost with party flags.
We have fights within the political parties. We have these fellow candidates but participated in the NRM primaries, but they never considered, and the party did never take any initiative to reconcile. And then you have party leaders who are still supporting independence publicly on radio and on rallies. Others highlighted the trauma they went through at the hands of their opponents in the just concluded elections.
Personally, I was attacked badly. I almost lost my life. When I was moving just on the election day, and my opponents started spreading rumor that I was moving with the ballot papers.
Relatedly, those who survived the whip have highlighted the key issues which should be reviewed urgently when the 12th Parliament starts.
Issues that are on the table: the relocation management of our people, the Bududa Circular Road, the issue concerning the compensations, the issue concerning the schools in every parish, the issue of water, the issue of completing the road from Shi Road and completing the Shwan Road.
Well, tonight in our regional wrap, Nigerian police have confirmed the mass abduction of worshippers from churches in Kaduna State after days of official denial, drawing sharp criticism from rights groups. In southern Africa, deadly floods in Mozambique have killed more than 100 people. displacing hundreds of thousands and triggering a red alert emergency as cyclone season approaches. And in South Africa, fierce wildfires near Cape Town have reignited damaging vineyards and forcing emergency warnings as strong winds hamper firefighting efforts.
Nigeria's police have confirmed that worshippers were kidnapped from 3 churches in the remote Karminiwali village in northern Kaduna State, reversing earlier statements that denied the incident. Local residents say 177 people were abducted during Sunday church services, with at least 11 later escaping. Nigeria's police have confirmed the worshippers were kidnapped from 3 churches in the remote Karminiwali village in northern Kaduna State, reversing earlier statements that denied the incidents. Local residents say 177 people were abducted during Sunday church services, with at least 11 later escaping. Police spokesperson Benjamin Hundeini said operational and intelligence checks now confirm the abductions, though no official figures were given. Eyewitnesses say gunmen surrounded the village around 10 a.m., rounded up worshippers and forced them into nearby bushland. The attack targeted 2 Cherubim and Seraphim churches and 1 ECWA church. Rights group Amnesty International has condemned what it calls the authorities' initial desperate denial. The incident comes amid Nigeria's worsening security crisis, marked by mass kidnappings, insurgency and strained policing capacity. Meanwhile, in Mozambique, severe flooding triggered by weeks of heavy rain has killed more than 100 people nationwide, with over 500,000 affected since the rainy season began in October. Maputo province is among the worst hit, with more than 36,000 people affected and vast areas submerged. Floodwaters have destroyed roads and cut off access to communities, slowing rescue and aid efforts. Thousands have been displaced into emergency shelters, where shortages of clean water and fuel are worsening conditions. UNICEF warns the floods are rapidly escalating into a major humanitarian emergency, raising the risk of disease outbreak, malnutrition and school disruptions, especially for children. With Mozambique now entering cyclone season and more rain forecast, authorities have issued a nationwide red alert, fearing the death toll and displacement figures could rise further. Elsewhere in South Africa, wildfires burning near Franschhoek, east of Cape Town, flared up again on Tuesday as strong winds intensified the blaze. Fire crews say winds of up to 50 kilometers per hour are driving the flames through dry vegetation, including eucalyptus forests, while grounding aerial firefighting efforts. The fire, which started on Saturday in the Cape Winelands district, has already caused significant damage to vineyards. Authorities warn residents that heavy smoke is expected as suppression efforts continue, and evacuation orders will be issued if conditions worsen. Firefighters say changing wind patterns and combustible terrain remain major challenges as they work to contain the fires.
Business Pulse.
Now, the Uganda Revenue Authority has rather at the Mpondwe border in Kasese say they are confident of the meeting higher revenue targets this financial year, following strong performance last year and renewed efforts to curb smuggling while facilitating formal cross-border trade. In the 2024-25 financial year, the target at the Mpondwe border was about 8.6 billion shillings, and the total collection stood at 8.7 billion shillings, representing 101%.
In the last financial year, customs officials at the Mpondwe border exceeded their revenue target of 8.6 billion shillings, collecting more than what had been projected. This performance has informed an even higher target this financial year, in line with the institution's overall revenue growth strategy, as Gordon Motonji, the URA Enforcement Operations Supervisor, Midwestern Customs, explains.
Last year, we exceeded the target here at Mpondwe. The target was 8.6 billion. We collected 8.7. That's 101%. Now, this year, the targets are higher, of course. The revenue has to grow. The overall target for the institution is, we are looking at 40 trillion. But for Mpondwe, it's 11.5 billion.
Motonji says the increase represents nearly a 50% growth in targets, which will be driven by tighter enforcement and improved trade facilitation measures. He adds that traders are being encouraged to use formal and gazetted border posts, as authorities position themselves not only as enforcers, but also facilitators of trade.
We are going to intensify the enforcement of operations. You know, this borderline, there is some smuggling, and we are not going to allow it, of course. We didn't allow it last year, we shall not allow it this year, and we shall never allow it. Yes, so we are trying to encourage the people to go through the formal channels to use the gazetted border post.
Officials believe the operationalization of the one-stop border post, alongside other strategies, will improve compliance and boost revenue collection. Customs authorities say the combination of stricter enforcement and smoother trade processes will be key in meeting this year's ambitious revenue targets at the border.
Well, let's move on to some sport tonight. The National Council of Sport has flagged off Kampala Hockey Club contingent to the 2026 Africa Cup of Club Championships, scheduled for January 24th to February 2nd in Zimbabwe. The contingent of 28 people that departs tomorrow comprises 18 players and 10 officials. The side returns to the Africa Cup of Club Championships after 2 years, having clinched bronze in the 2023 edition.
When you go to Zimbabwe and tell them about Uganda, there will be, in one way or the other, you're promoting the country, and somehow we shall have some visitors here through you. So you can see that you're our ambassador. So when we tell you that you're carrying the pride of Uganda, it means that you have to be patriotic. Don't go there and then you start telling them how they are shooting people in the streets. We've just had an election. You dwell on the positive. You sell the positive side, because there is always the positive side.
Let's protect our home from violence. Differing choices are part of democracy. Every voice matters. Every vote is for our shared country. Trust in the process and the electoral bodies. Let's vote with our hearts and minds, without provocation and intimidation. This is home. Let's keep it safe. Let's talk peace.
Hey travelers, are you a family gearing up for that big vacation, a hustler working abroad coming home, or your squad chasing sunsets and passport stamps? It's time you lock in. Say goodbye to long airport queues, shocking roaming bills, and the stress of hunting for local SIM cards, because now you can travel like a local. Stay connected in over 180 countries. Just scan, tap, and boom! Instant data the moment you reach your destination. Get your Rogue Travel eSIM today at travel.roguetelcom.co.ug. Contact us on 020-5000123.
Looking for a vacation of a lifetime? Cross the equator and discover Pineapple Bay Resort. Enjoy exceptional life's luxuries. Spend quality time with family, friends, or even that special someone. Get in touch with nature with our range of outdoor activities. The calming tranquility of water, breathtaking views, moving memories around campfires. It's all here. Plus, a club experience like no other at Pineapple Bay Clubhouse. It's a whole vibe. You can hire any of our 3 VIP cruise boats for groups of 10, 14, or 25 people. Or you can cruise out with swag on a luxury yacht for 12 people. Our premium boats are all safety compliant. Make your next vacay an all-round experience at Pineapple Bay, located on Bulago Island, right in the midst of Lake Victoria. Talk to us today.
There is a new era of elegance and it begins at your event. At Peno Events, we have upgraded with fresh, modern, stylish event pieces designed to transform any space into a masterpiece. From luxury tents to elegant furniture to premium mobile washrooms, hand wash stations, lounge sets, parasols, wooden chairs, modern chair set, banquet setup. Peno Events, safe, reliable, stylish. Book now.
Across Uganda, the parish development model is paving the way for prosperity, helping families transform their lives through strategic farming practices, like the 4-acre model.
In our Chivaro of 1996, we said first acre, put coffee. Second acre, fruits. The third acre, you put pasture for dairy cows. The fourth acre, for food, cassava. The good thing is that now cassava is also becoming a very good cash product, but at least for food. Then, mind you, the backyard. You put poultry for eggs, you put piggery.
I'm in a 1-acre plot of land. In this 1 acre, Your Excellency, I practice this banana plantation. I also practice coffee. I also have dairy, Your Excellency. Every month, Your Excellency, I get 500,000 from these bunches.
The 7 activities we recommended, they have a big global demand.
We have 10,000 Nile tilapia fish and 10,000 African catfish. And when we sell our 10,000 tilapia, we get in one harvest 20 million shillings.
Fruits, especially capsule, which is called, can do very high value crops like apples. And then finally, those who are near the wetlands, like the ones in Bukit who are wasting the wetlands, they should do fish farming, not in the center of the swamp, but at the edge of the swamp.
From coffee farms to fish ponds, the 4-acre model is empowering Ugandans to transform their lives. The parish development model is your pathway to wealth creation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance.
Well, we just want to appreciate you for tuning in to NBS Live at 9. It's always a joy and a pleasure to have you. Allow me to say, may the Lord bless you, keep you, make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Good night.
Agriculture is the backbone of Africa's economy, whether it's cocoa export in West Africa or the wonderful coffee in East Africa. Talk about the citrus in South Africa. It continues all to contribute to Africa's GDP. In fact, the latest numbers from the World Economic Forum puts it at about 35%. It also employs about 50% of our population. But are we really harnessing the potential we have? We have the fertile soils, we have the weather. You cannot find it elsewhere. Yet other people think that we're not doing enough. On the show today, I am privileged to be having someone I call a friend, Adesua Ifedi. Adesua Ifedi is the Senior Vice President of Heifer Africa. Ade, welcome to the Hard Questions.
Yeah, thank you, Solomon. Happy to be here with you today.
I am so honored to have you. Look, Ade, let's talk about agriculture.
The backbone of Africa.
Listen, we have been taught about this in school. What is the backbone of Uganda? Agriculture. What's the backbone of Africa? Agriculture. We've literally grown up with this. But is it really the backbone of Africa? Let's start there.
Well, I think when you consider the fact that even during COVID, you could not fly anywhere, you could not get a lot of things done, but there's one thing you needed to do, no matter what. What was that thing?
To eat.
You had to eat. And that, for me, I feel, for those who didn't even think it was the backbone of the US or the backbone of, it became the backbone because you would always have to eat. Africa has the world's largest arable land, fertile for agriculture today. So Africa is not just the backbone of, agriculture is not the backbone of Africa, it's the backbone of the world. But Africa is the backbone of the world's agriculture. Because the future of how we will feed is dependent on this continent. The challenge is that, are we going to harness this potential? Today, Africa's yield per hectare is lower than everywhere else in the world. We have the lowest yield per hectare. So how does
what explains that when we have
everything? So my point is, it's okay to have the largest arable land, but if you are the most unproductive agricultural sector in the world, then it doesn't even make mathematical sense for you to be feeding everybody because your productivity, the cost of going to that scale doesn't make sense.
Maybe let's talk about that. Let's start there. What is it that we are not doing right?
Number one, you've seen that instrument when you go to the farm, right? The one that has the wood and the metal in front of it, right? That's the whole. That's one of the problems you have. We are labor intensive. When it comes to agriculture, it is still a back-breaking occupation. It is still largely dependent on smallholder farmers, mostly women, who have to crowd in their children and youth to put food on our tables. 70% to 80% of the food we eat in this continent is still being grown by these smallholder farmers, owning small plots of land, not able to mechanize or able to maximize the productivity. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, we have some of the lowest soil quality, and our soil quality around where we are farming currently continues to degrade. The reason is because we have not been able to have the knowledge to integrate effective soil testing to support farmers that have cultivated on their land over the years. Fertilizers have been introduced to our continent, but fertilizers are being applied without even a proper knowledge, not even just about the fact that it has its challenges in terms of its impact on the environment, but even when it's now misused, the understanding of how it should be applied and the damage it causes to the soil is very limited in the continent. So you see, we have all of these very interesting dynamics working against us when it comes to improving our food yield.
Listen, Adi, when you were speaking, my mind went back to my village. I mean, at a village setting, you've talked about 80% of the food that we consume is from smallholder farmers. And I'm going back to my village where my parents had like maybe half an acre, and we grew matoke year in, year out. There's no at any one point that we've tested the soils. We just keep growing. And then sometimes my mother would listen, my grandmother would listen to the neighbor saying, oh, this particular, fertilizer works very well. Let's go to the market
that's
and
the
buy
test.
it.
The test is it works very well.
Yeah, and then it's, that peer-to-peer, and
yes.
then, and somehow the soils do not produce what you expect them to produce. How important is it to understand these little things to the smallholder farmers down in the villages who produce this food that finds itself in the market in the urban places?
So I will say what has kept the farmers is that we do have an age-long tradition that has helped us to a large extent to maintain some of the quality, right, in our soil, but they're not scalable. And over the years, year in, year out, local wisdom and knowledge is what is being leaned on, and referrals in terms of how we try to even improve our soil. soil testing has not also gotten to the point where in the continent we are really thinking about that at scale. But it is one of the biggest challenges, right, to our productivity. One is low mechanization, penetration. The other is also low soil quality in the continent. Even if we can't solve all the other challenges we have, of course, there's irrigation, there's dependence on one season. Yeah. Those are things we talk about as well. But there is also these other issues that you could significantly increase productivity if you mechanize, because one, you get to plant quickly, you get to plant more of the land. You notice that not all farmers use all the land they have.
Yeah.
Because before the rainy season comes, you're not able to even plow and do enough for clear and prepare as much land. Yeah. So simple issues like that, plus the quality of the soil. And you're right, when we think about the aging smallholder farmer community that we have, and young people not wanting to be in agriculture in the continent, we have an interesting dilemma. Huge opportunity, but an interesting dilemma.
Yeah, I love how you've started it. So firstly, you talked about how do we grow our productivity, and you talk about the problem, which is, you know, the rudimentary of doing things using the hoe, and you're calling about mechanization. You've talked about improving our soil fertility. You've talked about also the old people are dying. The young people who are supposed to take over from the farms are actually selling the land and going back to town. So let's just move step by step. Mechanization. How important is it for governments across Africa to focus on mechanization so that it's accessible? You know, you'll find that
the key word is it's accessible.
Yeah.
You know, and I think private sector have worked on the fringes of mechanization because it has not been commercially viable for a private sector tractor owner to go to your village, plow the 1 or 2 plots of land and come back, right? He needs to focus on mechanized farming and bigger farms. So he's focusing on the 20-30% of those planting.
Yeah.
And no one is serving the 70% that's feeding us. So the biggest thing we've seen in the sector is that the work we do at Heifer, supporting agtech innovators, trying to find people who are cracking that problem, is that when you can crowd in demand from farmers, you can make it commercially viable for tractors to go there to plow.
Correct.
Also, when you can, government has also tried to solve this problem by bringing in tractors and laying the tractors to co-ops and other places. If that tractor is not being used and is not delivering commercial returns, in a matter of months, if you're lucky years, it's going to be packed up.
Correct.
So what we've seen work for tractorization is that it has to be a commercially viable model. Ownership has to be as close to the farmers as possible. And you also have to think of the ecosystem of managing it. So our project that we partnered with tractor innovator Hello Tractor to do involved the entrepreneurs thinking about how to finance youth at the last mile so that they can own tractors. And Heifer had to put, a bet on this idea and bring out the first grant investment to catalyze that pay-as-you-go for youths who do not have traditional financial records.
Yeah.
The results has been great. But the other thing is also, now you put the tractor in your village. Do you have a mechanic shop that knows how to repair that specific tractor?
When it gets a problem, they'll pack
Do you have a trained driver that can operate it in such a way that he doesn't get the tractor broken down? So we realized that we also had to invest in supporting ecosystem to develop. And with the innovator and other partners that have come on board, building centers closer to those communities where you are training drivers and you are bringing best practices, you are training mechanics, but you are also making sure that the supply of spare parts are available. So you see, that is why Africa has the lowest penetration of tractors, because this is not a problem that can be solved by placing the tractors or donating it to the cooperatives or just buying 50 fleets of tractors and feel that you've solved it. It has the ecosystem disadvantage. It's a whole network of services that supports that tractorization.
Correct.
But once you solve that, you begin to see other opportunities opening for you to solve more things.
Yeah.
We cannot get past the challenge of our food potential without integrating young people and technology. Those are the game changers. So if Africa will ever live up to the reputation of the backbone, or agriculture as our backbone, we have to leverage technology and use youth, because they are the entrepreneurs who we have seen have been jobless for so long, who can now find new opportunities in an emerging market and in this industry of agriculture.
And you've talked about youth. See, we have a problem within East Africa as a region. Maybe it also affects the rest of Africa. Our fathers had chunks of land. They give this land to us, or we inherit it. What we have done is sell this land to go and buy a matatu or a taxi or a boda to go to town, because we think it doesn't work anymore.
It's everywhere.
And so we're selling what our father preserved to put food on our table to come in the urban centers, because there was a general feeling that it's not doing it for me.
But you know, let's assume that every human being is extremely intelligent and capable of making rational decisions. Anyone selling their land right now to buy the boda has looked at their situation and concluded that this land in front of me is not going to yield what I need right now, and I have to deal with my issues. So these are real situations in the villages. Rural-urban migration is real. And to fix it, we have to ensure that there is business that is sustainable and jobs, that can sustain and inspire young people in the communities. These jobs, if they are technology enabled, okay, let's say you still have the land. I don't think that most young people actually want to take the hoe to go and start plowing the land. However, they may want to buy the tractor and lease it to the person who has the land, and then become a tractor owner providing a tractor service. Yeah. They may be interested in becoming one of those digital extension service workers who are using technology to crowd in knowledge with AI and provide services onwards to the farmers.
Correct.
So they are. And this extension service is one of the biggest challenges, by the way, we've not talked about in agriculture, because farmers will continuously need support for soil testing, support for them to get the right quality seed, support for them to be able to get vet services to their livestock. A lot of other support provided by extension service workers, new training in new agronomy practices. Young Africans today are beginning to digitize and commercialize extension services in such a way that other youths can plug in. So I don't think that we always used to think that access to land ownership will continue to limit young people from entering agriculture. But the question is, where do they want to be in agriculture? Do they want to be at the farm level or across the value chain? So land is no longer a barrier, because young people are going in there. If I don't have land, fine, but I know you're not productive, and I know that you need soil testing, then I become a soil tester, right? I don't have land, fine, but I know you need tractors, and I can actually get a loan or become a driver, then I go do that. So there are other roles that young people can play today as we resolve from using the right kind of policies to resolve land ownership issues. But I don't think that land ownership issues can hold us back. And I find it very frustrating when we consistently assume land ownership as the continuous major barrier. It is, but I think that I have seen enough young people who have evolved beyond just land ownership and working at a farm to think of creative ways to address bottlenecks across the value chain. And there's opportunity there.
Great opportunities. You talked about something, access to quality seed. There's lots of research by young people to improve our seed, which is resilient to our climate, so that we can increase our productivity. I'm sure you've come across that.
Oh, yes. I think there's a lot of young Africans are doing a lot of dynamic things. In the last 5 years, it will blow your mind to know how many young ag-tech innovators entered into that space in the last 5 years. It will blow your mind. Between COVID and now, COVID was a gift. Young Africans are not only looking at how to improve the seed variety, they are looking at how to solve every single challenge that we were all scratching our heads about around agriculture. I met a young person whose business was actually how to reintroduce microbes into the soil, because microbes is how the different things that are within the soil that makes the soil, rich, are created naturally. Fertilizers are applied when the natural soil's capacity to have those things are no longer there. So if you actually want to ensure that you are very organic in how you are thinking about regenerative agriculture, focusing on microbes actually is it. And I've met young people who are now creating farms where they are nurturing bacteria and they are growing them for introduction into the soil. You see, the youth in Africa will blow your mind if you let them know that there's an incentive to solve the agriculture problem. Once they know there's an incentive to solve the agriculture problem, oh my God. Heifer is in Uganda because we are launching the 4th edition of our Ayute Next Gen. We're on this journey because of the kind of mind-blowing ideas we've seen. And I love the smile on your face because it tells you that whilst the challenge is huge, the opportunity lies in the wisdom, it lies in the ingenuity, it lies in the passion of African youth. It also lies in their frustration, lies in the fact that there are no jobs anywhere else, lies in the fact that other industries have locked them out. So you see, agriculture now becomes that green field for young Africans to play.
And they are starting, like you said, if there is an incentive and they have to solve this problem, they become crazy about it. And Ade, you have seen amazing innovations. You've met so many of these people.
Yeah.
But one of Africa's biggest problems is during the harvest season, we harvest too much. The cost goes significantly down, and sometimes we produce perishables. And, you find a region like Western Uganda here that produces a lot of milk. We can only take so much. We've not added value to it. A pineapple here during the harvest season goes for about 500 shillings. Ugandan, that's less than 50 cents. And we're trying to wrap our minds around what can we do to improve, add value. And young people are innovating, aren't they?
They're not only innovating, they're disrupting. Because sometimes when you think this is the challenge, you have to step back to ask many questions that leads up to that point of where the challenge is. We don't have enough companies who are ready to offtake from these farmers at that period. And so even if the farmers wish to sell at harvest, the demand, right, to take it off them isn't there. How many people are producing and selling packaged pineapple juice so that you don't have to only consume the pineapple when it's fresh, but they actually have huge, industries so that they can package the pineapples, right? How many local tomato processing do we have in this continent where we consume tomatoes, I believe, maybe more than everywhere else in the world? In my country, Nigeria, every Nigerian must take at least 3 or 4 times a week a stew-based soup. That is how tomatoes are important to us. Ask me how many tomato processing plants we have in Nigeria. So this is where the challenge is. You're coming close to the problem. The farmers are losing at harvest because what we eat, we do not have the infrastructure to support us to preserve, process, and sell. However, when you go to the supermarkets, I'm sure you are inundated with lots of choices in terms of tomato puree.
Oh my God.
I don't think you run out of options.
Out of Africa.
Well, I didn't want to be the one to say that, but I just let you know that whilst your tomatoes are perishing in the villages, you can always waltz to the supermarket and buy tinned tomatoes. Isn't it canned tomatoes? Why are we not canning those tomatoes that are getting wasted in the villages? Why are we not investing in looking at the value chain of, so we're talking about increasing productivity. And I like the fact that you're saying food is wasting at harvest. Yeah. How do we increase productivity? If it is an end-to-end transformation that has to happen in the continent around the food. We have to really re-engineer our food systems.
Wow.
We have to bring investments that ensure that, and these are profitable investments, right? You can. The only challenge I feel we have is we need to decide if we really want to feed ourselves. I think we have to decide if we want to feed ourselves.
I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, I'm listening to you and so many things are going in my mind. You talked about how many factories process tomatoes, how many factories process
pineapples,
pawpaws, and yet we're
maybe I ask you, how many cold storage vans do you have moving from your farming communities to the cities?
But Adi, the question that just comes to me is, we know we need this thing. So what is the problem?
I think the problem is the entrepreneur. Not the problem. The missing piece is the incentive for someone to innovate in that space and create a business. That's the missing piece. Once you incentivize African youths to go and innovate in that space and plug out that gap, this continent will transform. It will shock you why we're not able to innovate across the agricultural value chain, solving those problems and creating business. We don't have financing. The agricultural sector receives the lowest share of financing in the world, and in Africa it is worse.
That again, so that it's
the agricultural sector receives the lowest investment in financing because it's deemed risky. Ag tech innovators are just beginning to try to change the mind of the world because no one wants to touch agriculture. So now we're saying that we need innovators who will create great businesses, but they need to be funded. But if you're in agriculture, then no one wants to touch you because you are in a risky sector. And once we say agriculture is risky, then we will continue to not have those businesses that are the connectors between what is perishing, cold storage, cold transportation chains, processing. Look, we have food in our hands. They are getting rotted at the farm gate. It's an opportunity, but we're importing food instead. So maybe I would ask again, do we really want to feed ourselves in this continent? And what are we going to do about this perception? One, there's a perception that Africa, is a risky place to innovate. There's a perception that agriculture is a riskier sector to invest in. And so how are we going to attract the funding that we need? And how are we going to change the narrative, right? Forget that when it comes to infrastructure, we have the weakest infrastructure at the last mile where farmers are producing. When it comes to roads, when it comes to access to telecommunication, when it comes to access to digital innovation, then when it comes to available data, because sometimes we don't think about how important data coming from agriculture is to enable us to make informed decisions. Agriculture in other parts of the world is so sophisticated that there is enough data for you to make enough decisions to be able to provide certain services that supports the agricultural value chains, the different crops. You are able to aggregate data and be able to make effective predictions that can support farmers.
And therefore you can take this to the bank and say, based on this and my output, I'm able to raise this and therefore give me $1 million to invest
and
in this.
Even if we can for example, our farmers are doing a lot, but the data of what they're doing through their cooperatives is not digitized in a way that the financial institutions can consider those investments bankable, right? Just aggregating data of farmers' transactions and allowing that to create visibility and insight is key. Farmers work in seasons. Most people don't understand the cycle of agricultural crops, right? It's been a sector that people have avoided, so there's not enough visibility. But once we gather data can create credible visibility about what's happening. I'm also very passionate about that aspect of creating enough data, because data can discriminate. I give an example and say, you can get a text message that says, oh, we are going to give you a loan. Congratulations. You can come and get a loan of ABC. Did you apply? No. But someone has your data and they've assumed that you're credit worthy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who is going to call a farmer tomorrow to say, even though, but in his community where he is, he's getting credit. Why is he getting credit? They know that he's credit worthy. Yeah. They see his volumes. They know what he harvests every year. They know how he sells that. They know that he's going to harvest again the next season. How do you digitize that data? How can you make that farmer visible so that the farmer is not in this black hole and consistently being asked to bring his land bring his
title,
relations, bring his uncle, bring his children before he can access funding. So I think that data discriminates also, and there are lots of young entrepreneurs today in Africa who are trying to gather data to change that story. They are gathering data to support precision agriculture, gathering data to provide access to finance to farmers. They are financing farmers with alternative credit scoring methodology, and they are beginning to provide enough information for bankers to change their mind about the sector. But these young people need to be encouraged. We need to incentivize because the potential is there. The ideas to solve the problem are there. The investment is what we are looking for. Who's going to invest in these businesses, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest problem facing us right now is the perception that these kinds of innovators are not investable, and changing that to support more investment to go into innovative ideas in the agricultural sector.
You know, Ade, you're giving me hope. Hope that if we harness the potential that young innovators on the continent have and dare them to dream and support their dreams, we could get somewhere in the next couple of years. And, you know, as you're talking, my mind really went to the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. There's conversation on the African continent of having a one market. That's about 1.7 billion people, and how we can do intra-Africa trade, you know, and with the investment in tech and agriculture, that we can be able to easily export, you know, our matoke to Nigeria. We can export our milk to Nigeria through a single market. Are you excited about that?
I'm struggling to decide what to say in response to this, right? I'm supposed to be excited, at least as an economist. I should say this is a very great idea. But I just reflect on my last, 20 years doing this work in development sector, and how there are consistently recurring ambition we set for ourselves, and then we keep talking about them over and over again. I feel we sometimes start at the challenge from the top, not from where we should start from. It would be wonderful to export food to wherever we want to export it to, but should we start by feeding ourselves first? Africa is the largest importer of food in the world. We are import dependent on food in our continent.
Isn't that a shame?
We are exporting what we don't eat and importing what we eat. During COVID, that is when a lot of people knew how dependent we were on Ukraine for grain. Before COVID, we thought that we were raising animals and the animals were local, right? Well, we found out that our livestock is dependent on feed that is imported. And I ask you, is the livestock itself actually not imported? Because what it feeds on is imported. So I love those grandiose ideas. They cost a lot of money to, actualize. Whereas I feel that it will probably cost the continent less to focus on feeding ourselves. I do not know if there are political parameters hindering us from actually embracing real strategies to feed ourselves. But I would say that embracing innovators who are working with farmers might be a low barrier to entry, right? Let's not think about feeding ourselves as a massive idea first. Let's just talk about, can we increase tractor penetration? Access to tractor would increase yield by almost 5x for a single farmer. One farmer increases productivity. We're almost there, right?
Yeah.
Access to soil testing helps to at least boost productivity from the same hectare of land that you have been farming. We're getting there. So we don't even have to have this big Africa feed itself policy or process. Let's just ask innovators to go and work with smallholder farmers, address those problems at the last mile, and we will begin to watch Africa start to get to feed itself.
Yeah.
So I do think that there are simple problems we can solve, and there are massive beautiful ideas we could also have. Let's just not lose sight of those small problems like making investment available. These young people are not asking for, handouts. They're asking for investments that can over time deliver effective returns. They're asking for the best way to put our money as a continent. I do think we have to start taking our innovators in the agriculture sector more seriously.
I love what you're saying, but is there supporting policy for what you're saying?
So that's what I'm saying. Which is, as we have these other very important policies that we are setting up around the free trade zone, can we also start setting up policies as well can support innovators who are trying to improve the effectiveness of our agriculture, supporting smallholder farmers to improve yield, to start addressing those problems on the ground? Can we also focus on those policies as well? I do know that a number of countries are doing that. I also do know that as a continent, this is now beginning to become an agenda that is getting the attention of the continent. I think that we need to pay more attention to what is emerging with technology and youth engagement in agriculture. I think we can no longer have a tokenistic approach to assuming we are supporting the youth by doing that. We have to understand that they are the game changers of our continent. They are the game changers with economic indicators, game changers with issues around hunger, poverty, rural development, transformation, investment, job creation. We're holding all of that potential in our hands when we talk about youth and technology in agriculture. So I think it's a very big agenda. I know that some countries are looking at it, but I think we're still scratching the surface.
Yeah. Everything, I'm taking in as much as you're saying, and I love what you're saying. My question is, why aren't we doing it? Why young people are there? I mean, they've come up with these great ideas. They just need startup capital. They just need start me up and see what I can do.
I think there are very simple reasons. It's not complex, right? So if I ask you, how well do you use AI right now, right? You may say, oh, I use it a bit. If I ask a Gen Z, how well do you use AI, right? He probably wakes up and goes to sleep using AI every day, right?
Yeah.
There is also our own unconscious bias with technology. And most of us have now, in our generation, got into places of decision-making in financial institutions, in policies, and etc. We have made our lack of connection to even understand how technology can change things a barrier to the development of the continent. We use yesterday's lens to sort of move the continent forward for tomorrow. We can't.
I'll clap for you.
If you put a young person at a seat of a table, the way they would decipher the solution to a problem would be very different from what we did in 1970, 1980, or 2010. But we are not making room for new ideas to transform our continent in this space of, and it's not just in policy, even in financial sector. I was a former banker, so I'm happy to talk about the financial sector. The financial sector is still holding criteria they held when I worked there in 1996, 1997. The criteria for you to work with a bank has only barely changed a bit. So how are we going to be able to even embrace innovation? So I think that there's a huge mindset shift.
Yeah.
It's not even complex. It's actually a huge mindset shift of those in places of power who have the influence and the capacity to shift policies, make funding available, create an enabling environment to support this to grow. I hope we can finally put to rest this mental model of a lazy African youth who we are just trying to help when we talk about youth integration into agriculture. I hope we can lay that mental picture to rest. The people who will deliver this continent into the next 30 years are our young people. They understand technology. Africans are one of the world's fastest adopters of technology. Recently, a report was released that said that 3 countries in Africa are now emerging as the countries that are the fastest growing in terms of creating unicorns in technology. 3 countries in Africa. And Uganda is one of them, Nigeria is one of them, Lagos, the city of Lagos and Kampala. So if we are already, and I'm sure it's not people like you or I that are leading that technology revolution, right? So I do think that we have to put to rest some of our bias about youth, the tokenistic approach we use to engage young people. We have to begin to understand that they hold the key to our continent's